This is the Scary Movie Clubcast.
Live from the clubhouse, it's Scary Movie Clubcast. This is Nadine.
Mackenzie.
And Amanda.
And tonight, we watched Antebellum. Mackenzie's gonna give us a little summary.
I have to, think of the plot in my mind, because it was a little all over the place, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. A young woman named Veronica, I guess to begin with, a young woman named Enid lives in Antebellum South in Louisiana, and she lives on a plantation and is a slave, and she is understandably treated horrifically. She goes to bed one night and wakes up as a young woman named Veronica who lives in, I'm going to say modern day America, probably 2020. And she is a famous author who writes books that are basically around, I would probably say, Black empowerment.
Yeah.
And race relations.
And race relations. She's super, super smart. She has a husband and a daughter and a bit of notoriety. And as she is on a business trip after going out to dinner with some friends, she is kidnapped by a woman who is very unkind to her in the beginning, very harsh on her in the beginning of the movie. And we find out essentially that Enid and Veronica, obviously the same person, she's been kidnapped and brought to this plantation in modern day America. When she breaks free at the end, it's revealed that the plantation they're living on is like a museum, like a reenactment space. There's tourists that come in, and then at the very end you get to see it being destroyed.
Amanda is going to give us some fun facts.
The directors of this movie, and I guess they wrote it, are Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz. This is weird and seemed really unnecessary. They actually acquired the lenses that were used to shoot Gone with the Wind in order to create the same feel of that movie, but at the same time correcting it by showing a more accurate depiction of the antebellum period, especially the treatment of slaves.
Yeah, the fact that people still like Gone with the Wind and do wedding themes after that and crazy stuff like that, I'm like, you're a lunatic.
I've never seen it, and I'm not sure that I need to.
It's not good.
It's just...
I mean, the costumes and sets, it's visually very beautiful, but
the story and
everything
plot.
else is kind of
Imagine if you watched a story and you were like, let me see the next saddest thing that can happen, and can we just do that for what feels like at least 3 hours? Where it's everything that happens next is the next saddest thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
And we're all racist.
Wow, that sounds like my cup of tea.
Gerard Bush actually got the idea from a nightmare he once had. He initially thought it would be a good basis for a short story and later developed it with his co-director.
Maybe it should have stayed a short story. What ethnicity are they? I was wondering.
One of them is black and one of them is white.
Okay. I'm gonna let that process.
So they were inspired by movies like The Shining and Silence of the Lambs, apparently.
Seems like they were inspired by The Village, and they're lying if they weren't.
The butterfly motif, apparently, that keeps popping up and that's very prominent in the marketing for it, is also homage to the butterfly effect and Silence of the Lambs again.
I was gonna say definitely Butterfly Effect.
It was an interesting movie. It's been a long time.
Well, that movie is a wild ride.
It is.
Also, one of the characters, Julia, has a butterfly tattoo on her ankle.
Yeah, the one who committed suicide.
Not only is that yet another clue to the plantation not being real, but at the time that, did we see that beforehand?
No,
You
that's
only
when
see that after she killed herself when you're already
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at that point, at least, I already knew the plantation was fake. That was after they
we saw the cell phone.
Yeah, that was after the cell phone. You had not seen that before. They never showed her feet.
Yeah, no, so that's why I thought that was dumb, that they're another clue that the plantation is not real.
No, we know.
If you don't know by then, you're straight up dumb. You're one of those people who needs to click on those movie reviews that are ending explained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the butterfly tattoo represents that Julia is, I don't like the way they wrote this, but was a disciple.
I don't like the way it's going.
Was a disciple, a believer, a follower of the doctrine of Veronica Henley.
I don't like it.
Of the coping persona. So she said, I know you're the one who can get us out of here. Why are you acting like this? It's because she knows her. And that she was a fan of Veronica's.
Yeah, which I had said while we were watching it.
I'm no, it's totally fair that she's a fan. I don't like that it's she's a disciple and got a butterfly tattoo based off of a book. I don't think it's like
because
that.
Because no one gets butterfly tattoos. They're so rare.
Yeah, I mean, a
maybe
butterfly?
She's just a Mariah Carey fan.
I would much rather buy. I'd much rather buy that she's a Mariah Carey fan than that she was so desperately infatuated and following this
Yeah.
author.
Yeah, but the
Hello?
cover of Veronica's book has a butterfly.
Yeah,
on
which
it.
is fine.
Yeah, it's
But it could
fine.
be like, yeah, I loved your book. Okay. Yeah, I believe that. I bought your book and read it in my real life. Okay. I'm not a disciple and follower of you. You didn't get a butterfly tattoo. That doesn't even look like the cover of her book at all. Like,
Yeah, and so you said that this is like kind of like a ripoff of The Village.
I mean,
'Cause-
yeah, it is hardcore. I kept trying not to say that the whole time. I was thinking it like a lot of the time while we were watching it, and I kept trying not to say it because I kept thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know if Mackenzie's seen The Village.
I haven't, but I've heard,
Yeah, I'm
like,
sorry.
no, I mean, it's okay. I'm not really that pressed. There's so many movies in the
know.
world. I don't
It's
have time
just
to watch
so tricky
all of
with
them.
M. Night Shyamalan movies because they're literally
No,
so
yeah.
good if
Yeah.
you don't know. Like, he really does do a good job of, like, shocking you if you don't know.
yeah. One of my old friends had told me a little bit about it anyway.
One thing my mom doesn't like about The Village, they like are like intentionally like tricking the viewer because they change the dates on the tombstones, be like the 1800s instead of like just putting the modern day dates on them. Because like, why would these people like change the dates? Do they really need to be that immersive? Like, why do you need to convince the kids that this is this period? Because they don't know the
Especially
difference.
now, to them it doesn't matter.
That's why mom hates the movie. It made her so mad.
I can
Okay.
see it. Sometimes it is something little like that in a movie that makes you just turn
Yeah.
on it. Where
Yeah.
you're like, nope.
But yeah, both these movies are critically panned. Like this one, I think had like a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe 39. I can't really remember. In the first act of the film, the like soldiers are chanting "Blood and Soil," which is what the Charlottesville protesters in 2017 were chanting.
I mean, I definitely got a ton of those references of like the
Yeah.
statue, like Robert E. Lee, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, the phrase is a nationalist slogan that expressed Nazi Germany ideal of radically defining national body represented by blood. United with the settlement area represented by the soil. And like also just the fact that they're changing all the black people's names to like whatever they want and taking their identity away.
Which was a thing that was
Yeah.
done with slaves. Yeah. It's horrifying.
Oh, and if you look closely during the hotel scene apparently, which is apparently more noticeable on the second viewing, you'll notice that a lot of the people in the hotel are in the
No, I noticed.
plantation scenes.
Can I just also say too, that's even a thing that happens in modern day where it's like if someone has a name, and then especially I feel like this happens to black children where it's like teachers and people and
Ooh,
friends will try
yeah.
to like nickname it and like
Or like they
Bring it
they don't
down.
want to pronounce it right, or they don't know
Yeah.
how to pronounce it right, so they'll just be like, "Well, I'm gonna call you this instead." It's
Yeah.
like, no, you're gonna learn how to pronounce my name.
people need to stop doing that. It's not okay.
I had a friend, a Hawaiian friend. Her name was Kaolani, but we called her KU, and her
Yeah.
mom hated it. And like as a kid, I didn't understand, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, like why did I know why her mom was like, that's not your name. Like, don't have people call you that.
Yeah.
It's okay if she wants to nickname herself as something, but like,
But it's hard if she like feels like she has to because
Right.
otherwise she won't fit in.
So apparently there was significance in Veronica burning her kidnappers alive.
Loved it.
apparently.
This is a quote from the directors, or it doesn't quote starts with I, but it's said by Bush and Renz. So that doesn't make any sense.
Two people said it.
Yeah, at the
in
same
unison.
time.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. I
sauce.
I was trying to see us turn the other cheek. Veronica knew that justice wouldn't be served if she left it to the police. If she left it to the powers that be, she took that into her own hands, and these people needed to be punished. What some people call revenge, for black people within the context of this movie, I call it justice. And also, metaphorically, it represents burning the whole thing down. When she walks away, she is the Black Lady Liberty, torch in hand.
So I guess that when they brought all those people at that one time, and they said that this was plantation for like problem slaves, I guess that was implying that there were a bunch of these makeshift, horrifying, racist plantations across the country that they brought them from.
I think it might be more that these are just like black people who speak out against racism.
Because that girl, it was like her first night there when she was told that soldier was going to come to her room.
Yeah.
And if that was her real first night in a situation like this, she seemed very like, this is what's going to happen. I have no control. Like,
You would have think that there would have been some sort of like at least facial reaction, like what?
Yeah, like some sort of like an adjustment period to like, I have to live with these horrors on a daily basis. But she seemed like
supposed to be a couple days. Maybe
she did not seem like someone who had just been kidnapped and then just brought there.
Yeah, I think that's more just the
when he
flaws of the
said
movie.
we're everywhere.
Yeah,
You know, like
Yeah. But to me, that line felt, him saying, like, we're everywhere at the end, that line felt more like white nationalists are everywhere. Like, you can kill me and this group of racists, but there's going to be more racists out there in the real world type of a feeling.
But I do think it's possible for a line to mean more than one thing, too.
Right.
So, like, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think that she had just been kidnapped and that, like, all those people had just been brought to this horrifying situation and they were just, that's how they were acting?
I mean, I guess I
That
just
I
doesn't
really
make sense
have
to me.
no idea. It's not very clear.
The feeling was like that was the first plantation that Veronica had ever been on, and she was very much like, yeah, okay, I'll do. Otherwise, I'll get.
But the time when we first meet her, she's already tried to escape, and then they're
That's
branding
true.
her.
Yeah.
So you're like, whoa.
I will say, that was more weird dialogue, too, when he was like, we've been searching for you.
I
Because
know.
unless it's been like a 72-hour period, that's a weird thing to say, I think. Like, if a person's been missing that long, then I feel like, in general, it's just like, where are you? Are you okay? What happened? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like you're
oh
just
my
so
gosh,
look
I'm
right
so
away.
glad you're alive.
Yeah. And the fact that his
Yeah.
daughter was
Like,
awake.
what is
in the
this
middle of the
random
night.
number you're calling me from?
A lot
Oh
of
my
the
gosh,
dialogue
I'm ready to
was
get
weird.
into it
Yeah.
because I have many thoughts. Most of them are negative.
All right, so first we're going to talk about the scares that got us. Mackenzie, do you want to go first?
I think there was maybe a couple.
They did a couple jump scares.
They did have a couple good jump scares.
They didn't do them until late in the movie, too,
Oh
so it
my
was
gosh.
surprising.
Yeah, I think the one that I think of is when the horse and buggy goes by. This is when they're going to dinner, and the horse and carriage drives by, and it's just super loud and like very
Out of
sudden,
nowhere.
and just you're like in the city. So this horse and carriage, it's like so out of place feeling for a minute. Other than like I mean that kind of stuff happens in cities. Like
Yeah.
I think it is
Louisiana
supposed.
seems like a weird...
They have those there in New
Do they?
Orleans, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess in New Orleans. it
But I
would
don't
make
know that
sense.
they're in New Orleans.
I know.
I don't think
Neither
that it
do
takes
I.
place. I have no idea. Other
It
than
did not
it's
feel like
not-
New Orleans.
It did not say.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Well, it's not. No.
You're from New Orleans? Okay. We're not having
Oh,
no
hi,
references.
Oh,
Hi, Dougie.
I did not.
I did not. You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Pepper's like, you need to shut up.
Your parents wake up.
They start playing classic rock. Now they're like, well, we're awake. We might as well.
I'm sorry.
Which also, I feel like all those parts were tense too because there was so much double meaning throughout all of the movie. Like, so the horse and
I'll give
carriage
them that.
is like the horse. She's brought in on a horse in the very first scene. Like,
She leaves on a horse. And it is very reminiscent of the Antebellum South to see the horse and carriage. Like, it is very... But yeah, that one scared me.
same thing.
It also made me laugh because we jumped hardcore at that
really
one. And
did.
so then I started laughing, so...
Not paying attention at that point in the movie.
Yeah, that really like dipped out and was just reading her phone.
Yeah.
I was finding the fun facts.
That's why they were so organized.
So nice. Why the quotes were just delicious.
Yeah. Mhm.
What scared you?
The dinner scene when they're all in Antebellum and they're all in the tent and he's just like, you can do whatever you want with them. I was like,
Yeah, it didn't feel
So
good.
disgusting.
Yeah,
Very
It
upsetting.
felt really bad.
It was also upsetting. Definitely the biggest jump scare that got me was like the second jump scare, which was when she is trying to go back into her cabin to use his face to unlock his phone, and then
Yeah.
he jumps. And oh my gosh,
That was
another
good.
good one. Yeah.
That was very good.
So I will say the jump scares were done well.
Yeah, yeah. That one was good. Next is laughs. It was kind of inappropriate, but it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, what was funny?
I know. It's not a funny movie.
It's
No.
not very funny.
I mean, her wild friend.
Like, I am hesitant to, like, give criticism on the character because I know it's supposed to be this idea of, like, a very strong black woman who's going to say her opinions.
But
I
I know lots of strong black women
And
who
they
say their
don't act
opinions.
like that.
And yeah, and it's not like that. If anything, that was like a caricature, which is insulting in and of itself.
Yeah, you're so right. Because, like, the whole scene...
Just men not knowing how to write women.
The men did not know how to write women. or
That's how it
dialogue.
felt.
That's
Yeah,
why they were
it
like,
felt
what
like
if we
that.
made them not speak?
They're like, this is so much easier.
Like, the whole restaurant thing where, like, they tried to put them in the back, which I get, and I think it could have been a powerful scene. It didn't come off as, like, wow, that was so powerful. Like, she can do what she wants. It came off as, like, why is she so aggressively rude to the waitstaff?
Yeah, I feel like they probably got that table because of the concierge person in the hotel.
Who was the worst.
So very racist, obviously, without even
Yeah.
saying anything.
And that is probably about a lot of discrimination that people face, is that it's done in this way where you can't explain it. Like, you know it, you felt it, it happened, but when you try to explain it to another person, it's not going to come across.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, did she not make your reservation? Like, would she not speak to you? It's like, no, she was just racist.
She was disrespectful with her eyes.
Yes. Yeah. But then you try to explain that to someone, they're like, could it have been in your head?
Yeah.
Are you sensitive? What's your zodiac sign?
You make a joke about them being a Cancer, I'm gonna lose it.
I did
I'm gonna lose it.
But if that is
You're like, but if the shoe fits. What were some other parts that made you guys laugh?
were there any laughs?
I didn't laugh one.
It was just
I
very
did not laugh.
We laughed at pancake.
We did laugh at
We laughed at pancake.
That is one, and we laughed at ourselves with the horse.
Okay.
It was mostly the bad writing. It was just like, who writes?
Yeah.
But
to be
pancake and
funny, it was just angry.
But to be fair, I don't think it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah, it was not.
I think, like Amanda was saying, her friend was supposed to be comedic relief. Like, I think them in the car, like, messing with the Uber driver and singing to Lizzo was supposed to be funny. To me, it did not come off that way. It came off as obnoxious. Again.
And also, it's harassment. Like, you can sexually harass a man the same as a woman. They were sexually harassing that man.
Yeah, and to me,
but again, it was written by men, so they don't see it as harassment.
Yeah.
Like, that guy was making it so clear with his body language. Like, he was like,
don't
touch me.
Like,
I'll turn on the music you want. Like, I'll take you where you need to go, but please don't touch me.
Yeah, I'm at work and I'm driving and I don't know you.
And I really don't want you to be touching my chest. Like, it's just not
He was
appropriate.
cute, though.
Yeah, he can be cute and not be harassed.
Yeah, very true, very true.
It was nice that they had the one token decent white person.
Yeah, her friend.
Yeah.
I sort of love that Jordan Peele never feels the need to do that. But then as a white person, it is also a little nice to have one token not monster.
Again, because one of the directors is a white man. He's like, please.
I know.
Please.
Least favorite parts.
Oh,
So
baby. We ready to crack open the can?
For me, it was the cotton field.
Very poorly done.
Like,
Strong.
what? It was
That's a
like
strong
the smallest cotton field I've ever seen. It looked like a set and you were treated like a set.
Yeah.
Which then I guess is supposed to make sense at the end when you're like, it's a reenactment place. But it's also like, these people are not standing there being quiet while tours of groups are going past them. Like, they're not.
Before we knew it was a set, it felt like they were literally in the middle of absolutely nowhere, Louisiana, right? And so if it's supposed to be that it's like this place where tour groups go, because we have gone to Colonial Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia, which is set up as like a colonial town. And so you've got like things you walk by and you see like these actors that are reenacting things, but it's all very like you've got places where the people walk by. You're trying to tell me that there was nowhere that you saw tourists walking by. Other least favorite parts. I guess mine, I don't like the way that like the racism angle was treated in this movie. What I had written down earlier was like the thing about this movie that sets it apart from other movies that are treated about race. And I think of Get Out because I love Get Out and I'm such a fanboy of Get Out. The thing about Get Out that was so good was like it was about liberals, and you think about liberals as being on the side of like racial justice and treatment. So then for them to be the bad guys, so shocking because you're like, you're supposed to be on my side, you're supposed to be fighting for me. This whole time you're just doing this weird fetishy thing. But it's like you're watching this and it's like racist Nazi guy bad. Yeah, I know. Like, I know that racist Nazi guy is bad. He's never been good.
Yeah.
You're just
I've
fighting.
never been on his side.
Yeah.
I wanted you to set him on fire from the moment the movie started.
Right. And so I'm like, it doesn't feel like this new crazy mind trip.
And I guess that they think that we're supposed to be shocked that it's, like, happening today. But no, we live
We
today.
know.
We
Like,
know. Like,
yeah, like I've lived through a lot of that. Like,
Yeah, we're in Virginia. There's still Confederate flags freaking everywhere.
Right, and I think
Very
that's the other
upsetting.
thing, like when, you know, she hits that Robert E. Lee statue, and I'm like, that's a very clear pull to like the Charlottesville monuments and the Richmond monuments and things like that.
Probably my least favorite part, I would say, was, and I mean, there had been bad parts up till this point, but I was really, like, trying to give it a lot of, like, benefit of the doubt during a lot of it. But when it's to the part where she's going for, like, her last escape, and she and the guy get into the huge fight after that jump scare where they go in the cabin, and then he fights with him, and he ends up killing the guy who she's trying to escape with. All of that commotion, and no one comes over? We had just seen people out there. Like, when she went to get the phone, there was a guy on a horse. Like, we've seen the drunk people walking around. You've shown us all these people. You've shown us that, like, they're being monitored. They're not alone. She literally can't even make a creak in the floor. Like, it's...
Yeah.
You've made it all such a big deal. We know that
Mhm.
you can hear each other in the other cabins. We know that there's a million other slaves. I don't know why they're not trying to help them escape. Like, I don't...
That's true too.
There were so many plot holes that just became so clear in that exact moment. Like, she's holding the phone, standing out in the middle of the open for everyone to see.
Oh my
She keeps
gosh.
on this bright white nightgown, like as if she wants to be a target. Like, I don't.
And then it's like you go through the whole, like, you're on pins and needles as she's doing the little, like, creaking over the floorboards, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's
the
gonna
yoga
make
move
it.
was kind of cool.
Yeah. And she, like, makes it out, and you're like, yes. And then she's like, we need to go back and get his face. So they just walk back in there. And I'm like, you're absolutely kidding me right now.
Which was
like,
legit insane to me, because I was like, if you can call 911, you do not need to go and get his face. Like, that made no sense to me. And then the fact that the call went through so fine to her husband.
Oh, that whole time spacing of, like, her husband. Because even I get that, like, you know, after she starts getting on the horse and starts riding away, those guys are coming after her shooting. She definitely could have, like we were saying, you know, she does the whole thing where she burns those guys and she, like, grabs the phone, that guy dies, she burns them. Then she travels a little bit into the woods, has this moment where she's calling her husband and has this great, like, you know, beautiful, like, I'm still alive, I'm here for you, and sends the location, and then the girl comes out from behind a corner and is like, I'm gonna kill you now, and then she starts going again, like,
just a lot of dilly-dallying to bloat the runtime.
so much.
And it didn't need it. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours. And with so little dialogue. I wonder how long it would be if it was just the dialogue in the script and none of the action.
Like, maybe 30 minutes.
I mean, the fact that we got to an hour in the movie and we're like, this should have been the 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
Was crazy.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. Their timing was, like, so ridiculous.
Also, I didn't see the trailer, so I don't know what the trailer had, but I did watch an interview with the girl when she was on Conan, and the clip that they showed made it clear that, and like you said, you know what, thinking back the clip, I don't remember seeing the clip in this movie, but it made it clear that it was, like, between 2 times, and and that, like, why?
Yeah,
if you're gonna wait until, like, 30 minutes in to reveal that to me.
It was like an hour in.
Like,
I know, and that was one of the thing with the advertisements was it kept showing like that it was like maybe like some sort of science fiction element where she was actually being transported, or maybe it really was just dreams of the past.
Oh, and then another least favorite part, real quick,
you're fine.
is the part when it's her and her husband and her kid in the morning, and apparently they have like 3 hours to leisurely prepare for their day.
I mean, movies and shows be doing that all the time. You're like, it's like every day you have a sit down breakfast with eggs and bacon and pancakes. Stop.
I will say this one though, in particular, was like, it was like as if they were intentionally moving slow. I mean, like,
it felt like they had paused time.
Yeah,
it was like that kind of a vibe.
I wonder if it was meant to feel dragging, because it felt very dragging.
Yeah.
Favorite part.
So I wrote down something just so that I would have, because I always struggle with movies that I don't like, trying to find a favorite part.
Yeah.
I love in movies when, like, the things come around, like, when little details they give you start to make sense. So the floorboards is what I'm talking about. Or, like, her doing the yoga in her real life that came back around into, like, her being able to get over him with the yoga pose. They could have done a couple more, but I think that they did go with bringing those details back in and around.
I mean, the plane was nice, too.
Yeah.
It was, like, the plane from her daughter's
Her
drawing.
being like,
over.
being like, when you see that plane, mommy's coming home. And then they show the plane later, and, like, she is coming home finally. Amanda?
Well, my favorite part isn't really necessarily like it's like a part of the movie, but it's not like a part of the movie. It's just like all of her modern day outfits. Like,
they were real cute.
Oh my gosh. The styling department had so much fun.
All day.
Her clothes were so cute. I was like, I wish like I was a rich fancy person and could like run around dressed like this.
She was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hair was perfect.
I do think the casting was really good.
Oh, that one woman who plays the villain woman, she is so good at playing a horrible person.
I know.
Yeah,
when
she
she was
did look
riding
scary.
after her on the horse, she literally looked like a witch with like her hair running back in the cave.
Freaking terrifying. Like, I was scared.
What was your favorite part, Nadine?
Definitely when she set the people on fire.
Like,
infinitely.
Yeah.
I was, man, first off, the whole movie, I was whining about that fire. I was like,
You really were.
In the South.
You were like, who is gonna set this place on fire? Why is the fire on?
I was like,
it's
I was just
Louisiana.
I was like, we're in the South and it's summer and you lit a fire.
Like, I can see the mosquitoes flying around.
Yeah,
I was so angry.
It doesn't make sense for them all to have fires in their cabin. Like, why wouldn't you just give them candles?
Well, and also just why
do
do you
they
have a
have
fire
cabins,
at all? Like,
I think it was because it's like the only source of light in the cabins, really. But like,
what
it's
do you
still
need it for? Go to bed. Like,
Yeah, you have a full moon.
right.
There's a full moon consistently throughout the movie.
I don't know. I think they just think it looks cool.
It did not. to me, I mean,
it pissed me
it
off.
bothered me the whole time.
Yeah.
And then, like, as soon as she was laying in bed with that man, I was like, set him on fire.
Mhm.
So I was very ready for someone to be set on fire. I kept thinking the whole time, I was like, man, give me fire, I would burn this whole place to the ground. I'm like,
Oh, I'm gonna throw in another favorite part though. When she's trying to escape, she puts him in the incinerator, and that guy comes up to her, and she so quickly is like, he's hurt, you gotta come with me. It's like,
That was
really
smart.
that was good. Like, I wish I had more of that. Like,
it was just so
yeah.
quick. Like, it
was so
impressive.
I know, because
good.
if it was me, I'd be like,
Like, burn?
I was sleepwalking.
I'm sorry, sir. I have a cell phone in one hand and a torch in the other. I fall asleep.
What?
Where am I?
What did we think of the plot quality? I mean, we
Bad.
did not think it was good. I think I can speak for everyone.
Yeah, it was too long,
Yes.
too much.
So much filler.
And yet not enough. Because not enough of, like, building characters, not enough of, like,
yeah.
actual relationships that feel real. Like,
So that's something, the thing that I wrote down earlier too is, I said just so many themes that got started and finished. So I think one of the biggest things was like the villain woman, what was her motivation at all? Like, I get that her motivation was she was racist, but like at the same time, because the whole thing where she's in the hotel room, we've had this discussion a little bit, but like the whole thing where she's in the hotel room, why? Like, and I know we were talking about a little bit like the monetary thing of like, you know, Veronica's clearly very wealthy and very well off, and as like a black woman, that's like, you know, as for the racists to see that as like, that's horrible, she has to be beneath us kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt like it was like sort of there, it wasn't all the way there. Like they just were like, yeah,
It
she
should've
just
been
doesn't like this.
Maybe
like,
more explicitly expressed, because like racists, like generally, especially like back when slavery was a thing, like they didn't even see black people as human beings, like they were just purely property.
yeah.
And so I think maybe that was part of it, is like, how can this like quote unquote property like have all this nice stuff, like this is my stuff,
But I just
But
don't
it's
feel
not-
like
it
that.
didn't feel like that.
It didn't
it's not
feel like
explicitly
that.
said, and so it's hard to
Well, and it's not implied well either, because
No.
we did not feel
I didn't feel that at all. I felt like she was just like, I just don't like you. Like it was
or
just,
I like you too much.
Yeah,
It
or,
felt
like,
very, like,
I'm gonna sneak into your hotel room and I'm gonna like use your lipstick and like sleep on and like lay on your bed and like leave
yeah, I
things
had like
around.
a sexual stalker.
Yeah,
vibe.
it was very stalker.
she was
And,
just
like,
being the same character she was in Neon Demon.
Also made a full-on mess that apparently the woman didn't notice, which
Until they were, like,
blows my
leaving.
mind.
There
But-
should have been like a whole scene where she goes back into the hotel room and is like, what happened in here?
Like-
When they play that creepy music, we had to pause and go run an errand during this movie, guys. And so that's where we paused. And when we came back in, we were like, oh, we're picking right back up with the creepy music. This is it. This is that scene. No, she just
Nothing.
gets ready and goes to dinner.
Yeah, it just
And it's
cuts
like,
to her in the hallway. in her
Yeah,
cute
not
outfit,
even
ready
gets
to go out.
like, ugh.
It's like, what? Because, I mean, given I can be a little OD about this, but like if you moved even like one thing in my room by like 1/8 of an inch, when I walk in, I'm gonna know instantly. But this one, she went out of her way to like knock papers off and stuff. It should have
Yeah.
been very clear.
And then Veronica's like, the maids didn't clean my room. No, baby. She took your lipstick. She peed in your toilet. Like,
and
you're
did not flush.
you're a classy lady. Like, you're gonna know that you left your things tight. I don't know. That was ridiculous.
Man, stuff also, I think that they were trying to make it like suspenseful and like interesting, but it just wasn't, in the sense
Yeah.
that like if stuff had been explained earlier, then it would have been more interesting to watch. But
Mhm.
by them trying to make it ambiguous and make us curious, I guess, all they did was convolute it and like make it not make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is upsetting because I think like the idea of it is so cool. Like I think it could have been like this really awesome, very powerful concept. I think that the like visuals of it were a lot. I mean, when we started watching it, it was painful. Like it was in a good way. In a like, I mean, I don't love.
I did
Seeing
think that the
people in
opening
pain.
scene was very good. Was
Yeah.
very strong. Like they
Yeah.
came in hot.
They
I
did.
would say.
And
Because
then,
it
like,
was
the
it was
opening-
upsetting to watch.
Yeah.
And so and it had all these like bright, vibrant colors that at first you're like very interested.
Sorry, you can't hear my mouth.
And yeah, we were like
It's just
commenting
so
on
oversaturated.
yeah, we were commenting on like the beauty of it, but then it's like you're also just so worried about these people and already
Yeah.
so upset with all the white people involved. And
Yeah.
and then literally it's like you watch about 5 minutes of like that someone has tried to escape and now these people are being brought back and some of them killed, and literally the first words that are said after like watching 5 minutes of the movie is one of the slave women saying, "Kill me."
Yeah.
And so I did think that was very well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was visually really nice to look at, and that opening was, I would watch the opening again.
Yeah.
I mean,
it had been
I
a
wouldn't,
short film of 5 minutes,
Right.
would have been A+.
And it was hard to, like, it was just so upsetting, but then it became just like, what?
Yeah.
is
If you
this?
just had that opening scene and then like pan up and then like you see like some major city skyline. Would have been a
Yes.
much better short
Yeah.
film.
That would have been a much better choice. And then if they had like made it clear that it was a flashback, and actually instead of wasting our time trying to make it ambiguous, spend a little time developing your characters, which I guess you guys don't know how to do. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No.
they're like, let's write a story about women and then also just not know anything about women. Man, that would have been good too, to have like just the white people complaining about the mosquitoes and like slapping them.
Yeah, like little bits, because they're supposed to be just like regular.
Yeah, regular.
And I tell you what, you're not going to Louisiana and not dealing with a mosquito.
Mm-mm.
You're
going to
not.
Virginia
You're
in the
not.
middle of
You're
summer and
not.
not dealing with a mosquito.
I cannot
Ew.
walk from my front door to my car without getting a mosquito bite in the summer.
Mm-mm. You're consistently sweaty and hot and mosquito ridden.
Just so poorly done.
Just
and then, like,
so-
going back to the obnoxiousness of the cotton, it was so obnoxious that, like, they were picking this field, but never picking one plant clean. Like,
I don't. They were in the middle of the fields, surrounded by cotton, just like
they were
Picking
acting
off,
like
picking
they were
up
doing
cotton
busy
balls.
work. Like,
putting them into a bag.
The cotton picking was the second thought. It was like, let's show our actors acting. But while you guys are doing that, pick some of these cotton balls we've glued onto these plants.
Didn't even glue. They just placed them.
they just placed
They
them.
just placed
Like,
them.
glue would have
just
left some of the
stop.
cotton
Like,
dry.
stop.
You know,
Like,
though,
do
like...
you know where it was filmed? Did you look that up?
No.
I'm sure we
Because
can
I'm
find it.
dying to know. Like,
Well,
this
and I-
had to be a soundstage. It felt very
California.
soundstage.
Well, I mean, I feel like it was outside in California.
it
Here's your
did
phone.
not feel outside.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I'm thinking, like, if this is real, like, if I'm thinking Colonial Williamsburg is going to plant actual cotton fields. So, like,
Yeah.
if you own a plantation that you're doing tours, you're planting the real crops that they would have grown then.
Yeah.
So that your, in this case, kidnapped slave labor can pick actual cotton. That's what, like, places that are dedicated to these historical preservation things, they're planting the real crops. Like, when you go to Colonial Williamsburg, they're doing apothecary things with real mint that they have grown. Because they're like, a colonial settler would have grown this real mint. Like,
This episode of Scary Movie Clubcast brought to you by Colonial
oh my god, I love Colonial Williamsburg. If it's Colonial Williamsburg, I'm gonna
Apparently,
riot.
the filming was done
That would be
early
so
in
good.
2019, and a majority of it was done on the Evergreen Plantation in New Orleans.
In what season?
Like
Early
maybe,
2019? So
yeah.
like January?
yeah. So probably
So
like,
it was cold. So they were like, we're actually lighting the fire because
They're like,
it is
"Oh,
freezing. And that's why no one's
What
hot.
is it? The Evergreen
Because no one looked
Plantation?
hot the
Uh-huh.
whole time.
No, I know. No one was sweating. I'm glad we couldn't see any breath though. That would have
I
really
wish that
taken
they
me
would
out.
have made it look more real. Like, I think that they thought, I don't know, I guess that whatever they were trying to do by trying to make it look more idyllic and, like, dreamy and stuff, I feel like it had the opposite
yeah,
effect
here you
that
go.
they were hoping for, where it's like, I think that it would have been more poignant if it had felt more real. The stairs do look nice, though.
I know the house is really nice.
I can't pretend
It looks
that I
like
wouldn't
they
like to
made a
have stairs
film
like that.
Django Unchained there too.
Oh, such a good movie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. Which
I
also,
haven't seen
you
it.
know, I did think, oh, we should watch it. I would literally watch it with you anytime. It's on Netflix. There's this part in this movie when he's beating her in the beginning after she's tried to escape the first time that we've watched it. And when he's beating her, I kept thinking to myself, this doesn't look real. Like, it does not look like you're actually inflicting pain on this woman. Like, she was doing an excellent job acting.
Yeah.
And she made it seem like it was pain. But you could tell that he did not want to hurt the actual actress. And so,
Yeah.
like, I could literally see him holding back. And I thought to myself of the Django Unchained moment when Leo breaks the glass on his hands. And I was like, I guess all acting can't be like that.
You're like, I
Yeah.
guess we're not all Leo DiCaprio.
we can't almost rub our actual blood on someone's face.
So inappropriate.
Yikes.
Oh, such a good movie.
He's like, I'm getting this Oscar.
And he
And
didn't.
did. Or maybe Leo.
I would say I would really like to hear a black person's thought on this movie.
Yeah, same.
Because I feel like it's probably a different. I don't know though.
I wonder.
because I'm like-
One thing that I have thought as we've been going, and I've said it multiple times, but I've thought how each one of us has said like that we wanted to hear more about the white people. But it's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
but it's because they didn't do any character development, and so they're just like these hollow shell monsters,
They're just
and
shell
it's not
monsters.
deep. But I have just thought to myself that listening back, I'm like,
Yeah,
it's ironic that we're
it's
just
that.
like, but more white people.
Big fat yikes. I mean, I guess because I don't have any problem with the way they had Veronica's
I mean,
character.
But
like,
even if you had just shown like family tree or something that shows how they're like related to these like Civil War generals or something, would even just that much would have helped to show like, yes, this has been an ongoing problem in this family with these people. Okay, so let's rate this baby. I'm gonna give it 2 pancake.
Yeah, I'll rate it 2 out of 5 pancake.
Same. 2 pancake. That's it.
I liked the visuals. Did
Just
not
for
like the
Amanda,
story.
no maple syrup.
It doesn't deserve the syrup.
It doesn't.
These are dry pancakes.
Pancake.
Pancake!
This is dry pancake. Dry singular pancake.
The worst.
Babe, you want pancake? Forever it's gonna be Amanda's in the morning's gonna be like, we have cereal, we have oatmeal, we have pancake. I can make waffles.
I have pancake, but you'll have to use my drinking syrup.
Not a thing.
Alright, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Scary Movie Clubcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next movie night, and don't forget, there are 97 days till Halloween.
Bye.
Bye. Live from Mother Russia. No. Okay.
It's too late to be doing this already.
That's why.
Live from Mother Russia.
Alright.
To go back to that creepy little blonde girl in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently in the advertising for this movie was very deceptive. They did a lot of like digital editing to it,
Interesting.
which is part of why people didn't like it. Because like a lot of the scenes in the ads didn't actually happen. Like they made the little blonde girl in it even more ghostly. But she's very clearly like real because she has pink Velcro shoes on.
Yeah, I mean, she's
Yeah.
creepy, but she's
Yeah.
real.
So the little blonde girl is
Plantation daughter.
is Elizabeth's daughter.
Yeah.
When we first see her in the film during present day, she's wearing a white faded gown to suggest that she's ghostly. Yeah, very clear. The suggestion is that Elizabeth is raising her to be a racist, white supremacist just like her,
Uh-huh.
and as if the Antebellum South still exists. The girl is also holding a racist toy, a rag doll that looks like a mammy stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, that's like,
Is that a fun fact? It's just what we saw.
I mean, and I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, like, it seems like it's
Whoever
supposed to
put
be
that
this,
on mine.
like,
He
yeah,
is like,
this deep, like, and then there was a part in the movie where, like, the racist people had a racist kid. Like, yeah, I know, I watched the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they were racist. Check. Like,
Got it.
that was clear to me. Trust me, that was clear.
In reference to her miscarriage in the film, Bush said it was important for this film about Black women to touch on medical racism. These outcomes for Black women in motherhood, they're really, really poor outcomes. That's a bad quote.
Yeah, that's which is upsetting because I'm like, oh yeah, we could definitely have a discourse about medical racism, but what the crap? What was that quote even?
Added.
There really will be bad.
Yeah, apparently that was another one of the fun facts that I left out because I didn't think it was that good. Apparently he's supposed to whistle some song that I've never heard of before in my life that's supposed to have come out after the Civil War, and that's supposed to be like another hint, but I'm like, it's still a freaking old song, so I don't know it.
I mean, if it had been like Ariana Grande, I would have been like, okay, yeah, like
I wish.
he's whistling "Thank You" next, like I got you, but like,
that would have
No.
been so funny.
But secretly, it's all in the same universe as Bridgerton.
oh my gosh, I know, that's what I was thinking too. I haven't seen Bridgerton yet, but anyway, that's another conversation. Is it out of 5 or 10?
Yeah, 5.
Okay. I know I was thinking out of 10, but now I'm like, okay, let me think.
We'll just divide it now. She's like,
She's
I
like,
was
math,
gonna
I don't think
say
so.
4.71.
I'm like, ooh, that's long division.